Because I think we've been very technology focused in thinking of the Internet of Things, and that's reasonable. But because I felt that the Internet of Things enables a whole new business model, it's not the only thing, but it's a key thing, which is inversion. That's why we felt an urgency to write this book called The Inversion Factor. And the basic idea of the inversion factor is that if you want to create a business if you want to transform your business to focus on an experience, then you need a number of new sort of design elements. In fact, we think of the Internet of Things as a new design vocabulary. And the four things we talk about in this book called The Inversion Factor are connectedness, obviously, but also composability, which is to be able to compose new functionality for the consumer. Either the company does it or the consumer does it. And the third is intelligence, where the device has some intelligence to adapt. And finally, immersion. And that's a point where everything is so fluid and the experience sort of happens magically around you. So we introduced those four concepts in this book called the Inversion Factor because we feel that IoT, the Internet of Things, actually enables inversion. The other comment I'll make is people talk about IoT and the term has stuck, the Internet of Things. But actually the I in IoT could mean other things, and we talk about that as well. In fact, we think it's going to be a progression. The first step is just connectivity. But then you go to the intelligence of things, when things become general purpose computing platforms. You know, your coffee machine maybe has a speech interface, right? And tells you the weather as you're drinking your coffee. And finally, immersion, where when you walk up to your coffee machine, it talks to your wearable, measures your blood supply, picks the right Nespresso pod, right? I'm going to say it again. As you walk up to the coffee machine, it measures your blood pressure and picks the right Nespresso coffee pod with the caffeine just titrated just so. And it's an immersive experience where everything just works. So we see the Internet of Things as simply the beginning of a journey through the intelligence of things and finally the immersion of things. So people talk about other technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and of course there's IoT, and how do they all come together? So the way I address that is by asking the following question. Consider a self-driving car. What is it? Is it Internet of Things? Yes, because it's connected to the internet and it's got a lot of intelligence and it does all the IoT things. Is it a robot? Yes, it is a robot because it's automated and it does things like an automaton. Does it have machine learning? Yes, it does have machine learning because it recognizes people, it recognizes other vehicles and street signs. Does it have artificial intelligence, which is a superset of machine learning? Yes, it does. So the other point I like to make is that we're in a very interesting point in time today. We are transitioning from a technology-limited phase in human evolution to a vision-limited phase in human evolution. Uber was possible 10 years ago, but it only happened when someone had the idea. And the reason that we're going from this technology-limited phase to this vision-limited phase is because of the stunning convergence of all these technologies that come together to enable just a much wider range of possibilities. So if someone can think up the possibility, the odds are much higher today that you can probably do it. And coming back to the inversion factor in the book, what we're saying is someone or anyone who can create and visualize these experiences has an opportunity to really seize business and seize business sectors like never before. So what is the obstacle for an existing company to thinking in this way? It's a combination of things. First of all, companies are built around products, right? And as I said, a bookseller wouldn't have thought about owning the reading experience. It was only after Amazon came out with the Kindle that Barnes & Noble came out with the Nook, and they did a decent job. And too little, too late, Borders came out with the Kobo, right? Because so there's a product mindset. The second thing is, frankly, I think that there is a class of companies where having crazy ideas is encouraged. And there's a class of companies where that is discouraged. So there's a sort of a cultural sort of mindset. And the third is technology is moving very fast today, and you need to have this innovation spirit. And you need to have the right people to be able to put these things together. I mean, machine learning has progressed in the last year. And so if you learned machine learning a year ago and you aren't up to speed, you're probably behind. Connectivity has changed in the last 18 months. And so if you learned and you were frozen 10, 15, 18 months ago, you're probably slightly out of date. So this combination of things makes a sort of a hacker mentality company, gives them a really incredible advantage over companies in the traditional mindset. One example of that is the Amazon Alexa. You know, we have an Alexa in my house. Actually, I have 4 Alexa products, Echoes, Alexas, and so on. And I would say 80% of what we do with it has nothing to do with buying stuff from Amazon. It is getting the news, getting the weather, ordering a car, etc., etc. But that's really thinking outside the box. The 20% that I do with the Alexa is in fact buying stuff, and that goes to Amazon. Why aren't other retailers thinking this way? We call this the what if mentality. This ability to sort of break down the boundaries of thought, thinking outside the box, as we say, and to have that what if I can do this sort of thought, and then having the license to pursue it, is something that companies that are sort of an inversion mindset are more willing to do than companies in a more rigid product mindset.